In a previous recording, we talked about what slope is, and we determined that slope means steepness, how steep something is. And slope terminology could be rise over run, that means a change in y over change in x. Or you can say the slope is zero slope, no slope, positive or negative slope. That was on a previous recording. If you're not familiar with that, go back and watch it. Now we're just going to calculate the slope of 2 points. First of all, before you can have a line, you have to have 2 points. So I'm just going to choose 2 coordinates from this coordinate plane. So I'm going to put a dot here, and this will be my first coordinate. See if I can make that work. There you go. So this dot there is at what point in the coordinate plane? So we know this is x, this is y. So if the dot right on this line here, let me try to do that a little bit better. Let's see if I put it right here, select it, and so if you've noticed, I went ahead and I just marked my points. So if you see the origin in any coordinate plane, you know is 0. So here is the 0. So after 0, you have point 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Okay? Now, you know the vertical axis is y. So this would be a 1, 2. So what point is the one I have marked? So I went over 2 units for x. It's always x then y. So the x is 2, okay? And when I went over 2 to get the y, I went up 1. So the y is 1. So that particular coordinate is 2, 1. X is 2, y is 1. Now, let's look at the other point. So I went to the left. In the left, these are negative numbers. Negative 1, negative 2. So I go over how many units to the left? Negative 1. Okay? And let's look at the y-axis. So going down, this is negative 1. Then it's negative 2. So I went to the left, negative 1. Then I pivoted down to negative 1. So these coordinates are negative 1, negative 1. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to demonstrate to you is how to find the steepness of a line. First of all, let me go ahead and connect it and make it into a line. So we have here, this is the line. Okay, here we go. Approximately right there. So you see I have the line drawn here, and now I'm going to calculate the steepness of this line by counting. In other words, you can do it by counting and looking at the graph. So I'm going to look at this point. So if I were to start here and say I would go down from the first point to 2, 1 point, I go down exactly until I hit right even with the second point. So how many units did I go down? When you go down, that means it's negative. Up would be a positive. So we went down a negative direction. So I went down 1, 2 units. So negative 2. So that's negative 2. Remember, it's rise over run. So the y is first. So the y is negative 2. So you know the slope is going to be rise over run. So we know the rise is negative 2. Now think about run. Think about running left and right. So from this point here, I'm going to pivot over how many units? So if I go straight across to the point, I pivoted over 1, 2, 3 units. If I'm going to the left, you know that goes to negative. So I'm down negative to the left negative. That's -3. Okay? So both the numbers are negative. When both numbers are negative, that tells you that it is going to be, in actuality, a positive slope, which is 2/3 will be the final answer. So you can just look at the graph and see the line is like going up a hill. Reading from left to right, you're going up a hill. So the line is shifting upward. So you know when you saw the line that it was a positive slope. So in summary, in calculating the slope, using the counting method from the graph, you start with either point. See, I could have started with the second point. Okay, let me just show you here. I could have started with this point here. I'm trying to make a point. Where it's purple, there you go. And if I would have started there, I could have gone up, would have been the same way. You start with either point. I would have went up 2, so that would have been a positive 2. And then I would have went over 3, which would be a positive 3. So it's the same thing. So your slope is still 2/3, not 2/3. It's not a fraction. Slope is rise over run. This line is 2/3. So not 2/3, but the slope calculation, if you were to place it in an equation, would be rise 2, run 3.